122 most popular. Marcus Tullius Cicero quotes 5th in the world. A room without books is like a body without a soul. If you have a garden and a library, you have everything you need. To be ignorant of what occurred before you were born is to remain always a child. For what is the worth of human life, unless it is woven into the life of our ancestors by the records of history? Read at every weight, read at all hours, read within leisure, read in times of labor, read as one goes in, read as one goes out. The task of the educated mind is simply put, read to lead. If we are not ashamed to think it, we should not be ashamed to say it. Friendship improves happiness, and abates misery, by doubling our joys, and dividing our grief. Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others. Not to know what has been transacted in former times is to be always a child. If no use is made of the labors of past ages, the world must remain always in the infancy of knowledge. The authority of those who teach is often an obstacle to those who want to learn. Dumb sparrow. For books are more than books, they are the life, the very heart and core of ages past, the reason why men worked and died, the essence and quintessence of their lives. The life given us, by nature is short, but the memory of a well-spent life is eternal. While there's life, there's hope. The life of the dead is set in the memory of the living. Politicians are not born, they are excreted. The face is a picture of the mind with the eyes as its interpreter. The shifts of fortune test the reliability of friends. To study philosophy is nothing but to prepare oneself to die. I criticize by creation, not by finding fault. It is not by muscle, speed, or physical dexterity that great things are achieved, but by reflection, force of character, and judgment. We must not say every mistake is a foolish one. Life is nothing without friendship. It is foolish to tear one's hair in grief, as though sorrow would be made less by baldness. It is a great thing to know your vices. I am not ashamed to confess I am ignorant of what I do not know. A happy life consists in tranquility of mind. Your enemies can kill you, but only your friends can hurt you. The enemy is within the gates. It is with our own luxury, our own folly, our own criminality that we have to contend. Our span of life is brief, but is long enough for us to live well and honestly. Any man can make mistakes, but only an idiot persists in his error. Freedom is participation in power. Law applied to its extreme is the greatest injustice. The function of wisdom is to discriminate between good and evil. Knowledge which is divorced from justice may be called cunning rather than wisdom. Where is there dignity unless there is honesty? Nemo enim est tam senex qui se anim non putet posse vivere. Though silence is not necessarily an admission, it is not a denial, either. Never injure a friend, even in jest. Nemo est qui tibi sapientius suadere possit te ipso, numquam labere, si te audis. God's law is right reason. When perfectly understood it is called wisdom. When applied by government in regulating human relations it is called justice. To be content with what we possess is the greatest and most secure of riches. It is the peculiar quality of a fool to perceive the faults of others and to forget his own. A friend is a second self. Ability without honor is useless. What one has, one ought to use, and whatever he does, he should do with all his might. Time obliterates the fictions of opinion and confirms the decisions of nature. What an ugly beast is the ape, and how like us! A mind without instruction can no more bear fruit than can a field, however fertile, without cultivation. We are bound by the law, so that we may be free. Diseases of the soul are more dangerous and more numerous than those of the body. We must not only obtain wisdom, we must enjoy her. Freedom is a possession of inestimable value. Few are those who wish to be endowed with virtue rather than to seem so. It is our own evil thoughts which madden us. Nothing stands out so conspicuously, or remains so firmly fixed in the memory, as something which you have blundered. Hours and days and months and years go by, the past returns no more, and what is to be we cannot know, but whatever the time gives us in which we live, we should therefore be content. sed nescio quo modo nihil tam absurdici potest quod non dicatur ab aliquo philosophorum. There is nothing so absurd but some philosopher has said it. Men decide far more problems by hate, love, lust, rage, sorrow, joy, hope, fear, illusion or some other inward emotion, than by reality, authority, any legal standard, judicial precedent, or statute. Dogs wait for us faithfully. To teach is a necessity, to please is a sweetness, to persuade is a victory. Nature herself has imprinted on the minds of all the idea of God. Natural ability without education has more often raised a man to glory and virtue than education without natural ability. Cultivation of the mind is as necessary as food to the body. I prefer the most unfair peace to the most righteous war. Trust no one unless you have eaten much salt with him. Omnium meum mecum portu. He only employs his passion who can make no use of his reason. Endless money forms the sinews of war. Kindness is stronger than fear. History is the witness that testifies to the passing of time, it illumines reality, vitalizes memory, provides guidance in daily life and brings us tidings of antiquities. To be rather than to seem. A man of faith is also full of courage. A mental stain can neither be blotted out by the passage of time nor washed away by any waters. Memory is the treasury and guardian of all things. The welfare of the people is the highest law. I have always been of the opinion that unpopularity earned by doing what is right is not unpopularity at all, but glory. In a republic this rule ought to be observed, that the majority should not have the predominant power. The closer the collapse of the empire, the crazier its laws are. Here is a man whose life and actions the world has already condemned, yet whose enormous fortune has already brought him acquittal. Books, our unfailing companions. The mind becomes accustomed to things by the habitual sight of them, and neither wonders nor inquires about the reasons for things it sees all the time. If you have no confidence in self, you are twice defeated in the race of life. With confidence, you have won even before you have started. If you would abolish covetousness, you must abolish its mother, profusion. Every man can tell how many goats or sheep he possesses, but not how many friends. liberty is rendered even more precious by the recollection of servitude. Lucius Cassius Iulcame populus Romanus verissimum et sapientissimum idus imputabat identitam in causis quarir solabat qui bono fuisit. Vivere est cogitare. Neither can embellishments of language be found without arrangement and expression of thoughts, nor can thoughts be made to shine without the light of language. Thus nature has no love for solitude, and always leans, as it were, on some support, and the sweetest support is found in the most intimate friendship. The reward of friendship is friendship itself. Silence is one of the great arts of conversation. The wise are instructed by reason, average minds by experience, the stupid by necessity and the brute by instinct. Apollo, sacred guard of earth's true core, whence first came frenzied, wild prophetic word. Historia magistra vitae est. No power on earth, if it labors beneath the burden of fear, can possibly be strong enough to survive. For he, Cato, gives his opinion as if he were in Plato's Republic, not in Romulus' cesspool. Calamus fortior gladio. I would rather be wrong, by God, with Plato than be correct with those men. Calamus fortior gladio. The countenance is the portrait of the soul, and the eyes mark its intention. Let arms give place to the robe, and the laurel of the warriors yield to the tongue of the orator. Those wars are unjust which are undertaken without provocation, for only a war waged for revenge or defense can be just. What can be more delightful than to have someone to whom you can say everything with the same absolute confidence as to yourself? Esse quam videre, to be, rather than to seem, to be. To be ignorant of what occurred before you were born is to remain always a child. Wisdom is the only thing which can banish sorrow from the breast. What is sweeter than letter D's? O, tempora. O, mares. Freedom will bite back more fiercely when suspended than when she remains undisturbed. Quousque tandem abatir, Catilina, patientia nostra? The fruit of too much liberty is slavery. Val niemand tanzt, wenn nüchtern ist, musste den Verstand verloren haben. When you are aspiring to the highest place, it is honorable to reach the second or even the third rank. I cannot find a faithful message-bearer, he wrote to his friend, the scholar Atticus. How few are they who are able to carry a rather weighty letter without lightening it by reading. The essence of Ciceronian philosophy is a sense of wonder at the interconnectedness of human beings to one another and to the universe that encompasses them. Those who lack within themselves the means for living a blessed and happy life will find any age painful. What is dishonorably got, is dishonorably squandered. There are no snares more dangerous than those which lurk under the guise of duty or the name of relationship. The good life is impossible without a good state, and there is no greater blessing than a well-ordered state. But I must at the very beginning lay down this principle: friendship can only exist between good men. Amicitiae nostrae memoriam spero sempiternum for.